Honourable Shane Jones.
Tēnā koe, Mr Chair. Kia ora no tātou. So I'd like to direct our attention, sir, to part two, because unfortunately, sir, after I left that committee, the quality from that side of the House in terms of vigilance and adherence to principles diminished greatly. But that reflects, sir, the electoral fortunes which lie in their very near future. But, sir, I want to direct our attention to Part 1, Section 8, Schedule 1, new Schedule 10, substituted Schedule 10. And, sir, I have a great deal of sympathy for what proved to be a well-written minority report put forward by the Māori Party. So, naturally, we support the state, the attack that they're delivering. We're only sorry, sir, they didn't think that they could join us and collaboratively oppose...
Hold up. Schedule 1 has already been debated.
Sir, no Schedule 10?
Schedule 2 and 3 are the schedules, not Schedule 1.
So I am on... yes, sir. Sir...
Order.
Yes, sir.
Shane Jones.
So I'm directing my attention to the provisions that relate to the Māori parts of this bill, which unfortunately for our people, as reflective of the broader local government reforms of the last 18 months, are very slender. But sir, there's an important part in Part 2 which does relate to the dealing with rates, and in particular, sir, Māori rates, which was picked up, sir, by the Māori Party, but which reflects a complete absence in terms of what might be the Māori expectations of this bill. So I want to direct our attention, along with my colleagues here, once you define the community that local government would serve in a very narrow monetary sense, sir, you are writing out people...
Order.
Sir, one is writing out their interests and stakes in local government. Why should people in the local government communities be reduced to elements only to be defined by money or wealth? Because unless you've got money and wealth, sir, you will not be able to influence local government decision-making in the absence of broad community consultation provisions. Sir, that in actual fact is what has happened in this bill. Now, we accept that red tape ought to be rooted out where it's found. But, sir, it was the local government, not Forum, sir, it was the local government association who told every member on this committee, sir, that this bill is going to have the effect of worsening, sir, worsening the level of red tape. Now, I just don't understand, sir, why members on that side of the House had backed so enthusiastically Nick Smith's attempt to improve resource management. Unfortunately, sir, that small glimmer of hope has long been wiped out by more recent attempts that he's made to improve resource management through local government, but that's another matter. So sort of the tragedy of the situation is that whilst this section, this part, was designed actually to improve the prospects of simplifying local government, reducing the costs, it's had the opposite impact, sir.
Point of order, the Honourable John Carter.
Speaker, I just raised the point of relevance. We're actually debating Part 2, which refers to Schedules 2 and 3. The part the member's talking about is actually contained in Part 1, and we've already dealt with it.
No, look, I don't need any help here. This is very clear because I brought the members' attention to this. Order. I brought the members' attention to this earlier on. Part 2 we are on, and that includes Schedules 2 and 3. So I'll ask the member to come back to those points. This is a very narrow debate. This is not a wide... No, it's a very narrow debate, and that's what we're on at the moment. Honourable Clayton Cosgrave.
Sir, in the speeches that we've had over the last hour, the theme that has come out of those speeches has been one around consultation or lack of it. And I put to you, sir, I accept your ruling absolutely, but I put to you, sir, that the 90% of the member's speech has been around that theme. And if that theme was relevant and valid for other members, sir, then I'd argue it's within standing orders.
I've been presiding on Part 2 since the start, and it has been within the realms of Part 2 in the Schedules 2 and 3, and I'll ask the member to come back to that part of the debate. Honourable Shane Jones.
Point of order.
Point of order. The Honourable
Sir,
Shane
I was unfortunately interrupted earlier in that speech. I, sir, would like to direct your attention to page 24 of the bill, where it clearly talks about local government or local authorities' policy on the remission of rates on Māori freehold land. So the key point is that if you disenfranchise that segment of the community through participation and consultation, you do make it very difficult for local government to make informed decisions. Now, sir, I'd gladly accept from either parliamentary staff or yourself direction if I've misconstrued the section.
Yes, the member is correct. Please continue.
Sir, how much longer do I have, given that we've wasted enough time on proving that I was right?
Look, when there's points of order, the clock stops, so you haven't, no time has been deducted. You have 1 minute and 13 seconds remaining. Shane Jones.
Now, sir, I'm possibly doing the job that my relation from the far north, Hone Harawira, should be doing, but having said that, I actually, sir, want to enjoy a small measure of celebration on his behalf that I have enabled the House to exhaust a little of its attention on the postponement of rates on Māori freehold land. And, sir, whilst it might be said it's a small and potentially irrelevant segment of this bill, that reflects the government's approach to these seemingly insignificant things. But, sir, small, seemingly modest Māori issues can loom large, and they can even cause ministers of the House, of the government, to invoke the spectre of hell and start to recite Dante's version of politics. So, sir, the underlying problem is that where you're going to have a transitional provision for review, you cannot engage in the exercise of review unless you have access to information. Now, that's not unreasonable, sir. And so, Mr. Chair,
Dr. Cam Calder.